Well, it is time for us to do a rundown on some of our national and international stories for this Tuesday morning. It is June 6th, 2017. And as always, we have many more stories than we actually have time for, so I'd like to refer you to the website radiofreespeech.com, where if you're interested, you can purchase a subscription and get 30 to 40 minutes of news delivered audio form directly to your inbox every single morning. You can download it to your iPad and listen to it on the way to work. First and foremost, a little bit of a row going on right now in some of the Middle Eastern states as Qatari planes have been banned from Egyptian and Saudi airspace. This is something because some of these countries say that Qatar actually supports extremism. That's a charge that's been around for quite a number of years, but now they're taking action to ban their airplanes. We're talking about domestic travel. It's causing ripples across the economy right now, not just in terms of travel, but also the financial markets. Vladimir Putin is downplaying any ties with President Trump's former advisor, Michael Flynn, saying that he had no idea who he was when he met him at a dinner, and there was a very widely circulated photograph of the two of them shaking hands. Meanwhile, President Trump will not block ex-FBI Chief Comey's testimony coming up on Thursday. White House statement saying that he's not going to invoke executive privilege, which is something, if he had done that, or if he did do that, it would obviously lend support to the idea that there is something to be found there. Also, President Trump is attacking his own administration now over a watered-down, politically correct travel ban. And yes, he did use the word ban, which is something that a lot of folks have been trying to backpedal on and say, no, a ban is not a ban. He's not really meaning a ban because a travel ban on Muslims would be unconstitutional. And they're saying, no, it's not a ban. Now he's saying a ban is a ban. So where does that leave us? We'll see. The president also attacked once again the mayor of London over the comments about the terror attack and carrying on and whatnot. A new stratospheric U.S. missile design is apparently exactly the same as an old Soviet design. And Pravda has a story on that, and you can read more about it, or hear more about it, I should say, in my version of the news at radiofreespeech.com. Also, there was another shooting in Orlando. 5 people killed by a former employee at an industrial area. He then killed himself. They're saying it's not terrorism. However, since the man is a U.S. veteran, there's likely to be renewed cause of scrutinizing veterans and their access to firearms. This is an unfortunate consequence of that. The London attackers, 2 of the 3 have been named by police. And yes, actually, they were people that were already on their radar. However, they didn't think they were any threat. Montenegro has become the 29th NATO member state, and because of that, Russia is now reconsidering whether or not they're going to be doing joint programs with Montenegro. The Kremlin, in speaking more about the so-called Russian-Trump connection, says that it was Trump's magnetism that courted U.S. voters and helped him to win the presidency. The problem is not with Russia. The problem is with the Democratic Party. The fact is that they lost, and they need to get over it. President Trump has announced plans to privatize air traffic control. It's actually an idea that's been circulating for quite some time, but now with a Republican in charge, not just of the presidency, but also in the Senate, they're saying, well, maybe it's time to try again. U.S. airports are beginning testing facial recognition technology, something which I will comment today on. I don't think it's the best idea in the world, and I'll show you why. And Jeremy Corbyn, as we're looking at the UK election that's coming up here on Thursday, he told the members of Parliament that supporters of ISIS shouldn't be prosecuted for expressing a political point of view. Obviously, if they're caught doing something wrong, criminal acts should be prosecuted, but not simply expressing a point of view, even something that is unpalatable. Speaking of unpalatable points of view, Bill Maher has not been fired from HBO and will be back on set hosting Real Time this Friday, despite the outrage that was caused after he used a comment referring to himself as a house N-word. You can't even say that word. And now they've gone back and scrubbed that word from the episode that he did it on so that it will never be seen again. The Bilderberg Conference is over this week, and attendees, of course, dodged the press. Very secretive meeting. There's an article about one member of the conference that spoke to the press, and you'll hear about that in the news at radiofreespeech.com. Also, speaking of news and fake news and whatnot, a CNN reporter is now caught up in a fake news story because they're accusing CNN of setting up that Muslim counter-terror protest. I don't know if you've heard about this, Basically, there are some people that showed up at London Bridge to protest against blaming Muslims, and there are pictures that were posted showing the CNN people moving them and positioning them so the cameras would catch them the right way. But both CNN and the people protesting have denied that anyone was manipulated in any way, shape, or form. There you have it. That's the news. Check out the website, radiofreespeech.com.